everybody, it's Christine, and today I've got another technique for you with the gel press. Today I am going to be trying to create a galaxy background using mists, and I'm going to show you some different ways that this mist comes out when I spray it onto the gel press. So you can see I'm just spraying straight onto it. I'm using Dylusions Ink Essentials sprays, and I'm using crushed grape, I'm using black marble, I'm using London blue, and I'm using vibrant turquoise. Sorry, the writing is a little tricky to read there. So I'm using all those, and I'm just spraying it straight on, and then I'm just going to put my paper on, and I'm just going to use a mixed media paper again. I think a watercolor paper would probably also work just fine, but I'm just going to set it on there, push it all down, and then get ready to be wowed. This is my favorite result revealing of all of the gel press ones so far. It turned out exactly how I hoped. So look at that. Look, it looks just like a galaxy background. Isn't it perfect? So beautiful. And bonus, at the end of this video, I'm going to make a couple cards using this. Now that I've done it with just going straight on like that, I'm going to try a couple other things. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to just do a second run and see what comes up on the second run. Didn't add anything, didn't change anything. I just simply put another piece of paper on there because I wanted to see. So there you can see it gives you a totally different look, much lighter, but also could also be a useful one for backgrounds. Particularly, I could see that working really nice as a scrapbook layout background. Now, I'm going to spray it up again, and I'm going to do about the same intensity, 3 or 4 sprays of each one, and then I'm going to try some other stuff on it to see how that turns out. Now, this cleaned up real easily for me. It was no more difficult than the paint, and it, obviously with the craft mat behind it, it keeps from the mess going everywhere. I do definitely recommend that if you don't want to get on your other mat. So this time around I am using the brayer, and I just spread it all around. And this one, I am not crazy about how this one turned out. It was fine, but it's nothing compared to the first one, to be honest. But as I've said throughout these videos, I am experimenting. So there you have that one. And I just pushed it back down to get a little more in the spots where it missed. But you can see it almost kind of has the same look as that second run where I just did a straight up second run without using the brayer at all. Now, I'm going to also try it with the bubble wrap because I felt like the bubble wrap really had some really cool results with the acrylic paint, so I was curious how it would work with the mist. Now, we're talking about 2 totally different mediums. Yes, they're both wet, but that's really pretty much all they have in common. The acrylic paint is much more opaque, the mists are much more translucent in general, and watered down and all that, and so I know it's going to be a different look, but I did want to see just how different it ended up being. So I'm going to pull out that bubble wrap and just set it over the top, rub it all the way around, and you can see my hands are a big old mess already. I wanted to make sure I covered everywhere. And then I'm going to take another sheet of my paper and just put that over the top. And this, again, it produces interesting results. Again, none of them quite compare to what the first run was, where I just did it straight up. But it does have a really stronger result than like when I did the brayer. And so there you have it. There's 4 different ways with the mist. Now imagine the possibilities for creating a fun galaxy background or a sunset style one. I think there's just so many different things you could try here, and you will definitely be seeing me playing with the mists and the gel press pretty regularly in the future, I think. Now, let's take that galaxy background that I made in the beginning and let's turn it into a card. I am going to cut these 2 sheets down so that they are just shy of the size for an A2 card. I'm going to use a traditional white card for my base, and so I'm just taking a 1/4 inch off all the way around so that I can use these on it. And I am going to just mount those on there with my Easy Runner Grand, and then I'm going to kind of create some star-themed cards using it. Now, both of these cards are using some Hampton Art stamps. This first one, I'm going to use this rubber stamp, which you don't see me use a lot of, but, rubber stamps, They're not as easy as acrylic in that you can't see where you're going with them, but they sure do give a nice, solid, fine print. And I do love that about them. I had forgotten about that. And so I am using it. I just use some embossing ink, put it on there, and then I'm going to put some white opaque embossing powder. Definitely want opaque in this case. And you can see it creates a really pretty sentiment smack dab in the middle there. It just says love you more. I really love the font on this stamp, and so I was excited to use it, and I just thought it really would look nice on this galaxy background. Now I'm going to pull out some acrylic stamps now that are from Hampton Art for Jelly Bean. They're Jelly Bean Soup ones, and this is just a star outline, and I'm just going to add a bunch of stars all over the place, and I'm going to add on the embossing powder again. Now, one of the things I like about a galaxy background is it doesn't have to be real super neat and precise, because it's supposed to look like a galaxy, and that is kind of, I don't know if messy is the right word, but kind of. It's got just its own look to it. And so you don't have to stress, like if the white embossing powder gets a little extra here and there, big deal. It just looks like more stars. There's like definitely an advantage to doing things like this. So you can see here how it's all coming together. And then my final step for this card is I'm just going to add on some little rhinestones and give it even more sparkle. Very simple, not a real complicated card at all, but it's really beautiful. I just seriously love how the galaxy background turned out using those colors, and I am so excited to play with this more. I've been even thinking about different home decor pieces that I could maybe do with it for like my kids' rooms or our homeschooling room. Now, let's go on to the second card. Since I had enough to make two, I figured I would just go for it and do it all in one sitting. So this one, I'm going to use some dies. These are also from a set from Jelly Bean Soup for Hampton Arts, and I'm going to just cut out a bunch of stars. Now, this piece I made a little bit smaller because there was one little part on it that I didn't quite like the coloring, and so I cut off about a 1/2 inch all the way around instead of a 1/4 inch. So you're going to see it ends up being a little bit of a smaller focal point on the card than before, but still, it's still a big part of it. So I cut out all those stars, and I just am going to secure it onto my white card, and you can see those stars then stick out there. And then I'm going to use that same star outline stamp that I used before and add some embossed stars on all the way around. So just a little bit of a different look than the last one. By using the metal dies, I changed things up slightly, but still has that outer space galaxy feeling to it. Then I'm going to stamp a cute little sentiment on there onto the banner, and that comes from that same stamp set. And then I'm going to add on something from the Too Cool for School collection, which is this little corgi. I wanted a critter to sit in the middle of this, and I wanted something kind of cutesy, and so I decided this guy worked really well, and his bow tie works really well, and so it ends up being just a really cute, fun little card for a boy or even a little girl. It kind of has a boy feel to it. I'm just going to add on a few more rhinestones to finish it all off, and there you have it. So there you have what happens when you add the mist to your gel press. Really fun. Definitely will be exploring this technique some more. We'll see you again soon.